Welcome to the Brain Coffee Podcast, where doctors Eric Luthard and Albert Kim unlock life's little mysteries about health, wellness, entertainment, technology, and how the brain makes sense of it all. Sit back, relax, and open up your mind.
Well, David, thanks for joining us at Brain Coffee.
Thank you very much.
It's usually just the two of us just kind of yammering away, but again, it's a real pleasure to basically have you here, given your busy schedule and all the research that you do. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's such a nice local place. It's awesome.
Oh,
well, definitely,
place.
the kolaches. Don't forget to get a kolache.
They're good, quite good. They're filling.
Yeah, right.
So what are we? No, please.
Yeah,
go.
yeah. You're obviously an expert. Really one of the world-renowned experts in Alzheimer's. At the highest level, could you give the briefest summary of kind of where you think we are today when we think about Alzheimer's?
Yeah, the lay of the land. I think that would be useful.
I think there's been sort of a revolution in our understanding about Alzheimer's in the last 20 years, especially the last 10. Mm-hmm. We used to think of it as when people began to develop memory loss and other changes that was the disease. Mm-hmm. And of course those are the manifestations of the disease, but it turns out, I think the biggest thing which is really important for developing treatments is that the disease starts in the brain about 20 years before the symptoms start.
Wow.
And because of that, that is, and we can now detect those changes as they're occurring with different tests. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's setting the stage where now there are actually trials of new treatments in people that are normal, cognitively normal, who have the manifestations of the disease in the brain, so that we can actually try to delay the disease or prevent it. And that's really huge. Now, there's nothing yet that we have that's approved, but I think that's where really things are moving.
So what are the things you can see 20 years before anything clinical happens? What are the...
Yeah, the first things that we can see, at least by some imaging techniques and by looking at the spinal fluid, is that amyloid, this protein that normally is made by all of us, which is floating around, it starts to clump up. And you can see that beginning about 20 years before symptoms. It starts to build up.
Now, this amyloid protein, is it, again, you know more about this than I do, but amyloid is really kind of almost like the output of like neurons being busy, right? Like, so as neurons are active, they produce amyloid naturally, right? They
produce it naturally, except it's in a state where it's just freely soluble, meaning it's like dissolving sugar in your coffee. It dissolves, right? But when the disease starts, it comes out of solution and clumps up, and so it's a different conformation of the.
I see.
And that is totally the same sequence, but a different conformation.
Interesting.
My casual way of thinking about it, I kind of think of it as neuron poop. You know what I mean? Like, and basically, your neurons poop. They poop out the amyloid, and just for whatever reason, you can't flush the toilet anymore.
And then the toilet gets stuck, and you can't clear it out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of stinky.
But the poop is different. You're saying.
Right. The poop is changing.
Right.
It's not.
Poop. It's not. Right. That's right. It's a little different.
Do you see this in other disorders? This stuff glumming up the brain.
Yeah. The same amyloid protein builds up in Alzheimer's disease, but it also accumulates in a related condition where it builds up in the blood vessels, amyloid angiopathy.
Right.
And that, as you guys see in your practices, it causes hemorrhages. Yeah.
I see.
But there are other amyloids, other sequences of proteins that form what we call an amyloid structure that also affect brain. They're less common. And of course amyloidosis occurs systemically, the systemic amyloidoses, and that is where things build up in the heart or the kidney, and those are pretty common.
That's interesting.
I see.
Sometimes in the nerve.
Now, is there a relationship between amyloid and depression? Because I've recently heard that people are starting to treat Alzheimer's with antidepressant drugs.
There's sort of two things with depression. One is that a fair number of people will begin to develop depression as their first manifestation of disease. That's one thing. But the other thing that's been found by people at WashU actually is that some antidepressants lower the production of amyloid in the brain. So
that's interesting. So it might get at the cause of it as well to some extent.
Correct. Right. Like one of the main treatments being developed are things that inhibit the production of amyloid in a very specific way. Well, it turns out some antidepressants do the same thing, not as strong as a specific inhibitor, but...
Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
No, but again, amyloid is, again, I think we've been totally interrupting him. We should probably let the experts speak. But
apologize.
Yeah, but, amyloid is, I guess, one part of the protein story. Right, I guess there's also Tau, and everybody loves to talk about Tau as it relates to sports injuries and stuff like that. Maybe
CTE,
it's worth brief.
Well, I've heard a lot of people give the analogy that amyloid kind of is the gun of Alzheimer's disease. It starts the whole thing, but and that Tau is the bullet that actually is causing the damage. And I think there's a strong evidence that that's the case. Now that we have neuroimaging that you can see Tau accumulating in the last 2-3 years. We've been able to see that wherever Tau is building up the poop of the brain, another kind of poop, wherever Tau is accumulating, that's where the symptoms are. So if it starts in the part of the brain that controls memory, you get memory loss. As it spreads to other areas that affect language, then you get language abnormalities. It's really, really compelling.
Wow.
And the brain shrinks in the areas that Tau accumulates. So it really is the damaging molecule of the disease.
I see. It's the most. But what's the relationship between the beta amyloid and the Tau then? How do they communicate with each other?
So there's two things. One is that we know from lots of studies that amyloid causes the Tau pathology to get a lot worse. It drives it. What we don't know is how it does that. So a lot of researchers are now trying to figure out how is amyloid interacting with Tau.
I see.
So
maybe even a bigger blue sky question is let's say that we can kind of reduce beta amyloid, and once the damage is done, is it reversible?
No one knows. I hope it is, but I think it's much more realistic to think if you hit it before the damage is done, that's where you're really going to have a big impact. It's just like I think of it a lot like atherosclerosis, right? Huge decreases in heart attacks and strokes because now we can lower our cholesterol, we can control our blood pressure, and we have markers. You measure cholesterol. If it's too high, you get on a statin, or you exercise more, you do other things. Same thing I think will be for this. I don't think we're going to probably have to diagnose it before you're symptomatic and start getting on the treatments that prevent the buildup from getting worse.
I guess this is just my sci-fi mind going into overdrive. Is that there's these researchers, again, in the brain-computer interface space, making like what are called hippocampal chips. Have you heard about these things?
No, I haven't heard of this.
So at USC, they now have a replacement for a mouse hippocampus, where basically, quite literally, you put this chip, you put the wires in, they remove a portion of the hippocampus, and they put wires on one side and wires on the other side, and they have the signals go through this chip, and then basically it allows for restoration of memories for that.
Oh wow!
For that mouse.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's this guy Ted Berger, and he really does some amazing.
That's
stuff.
a cool idea because you'd think higher order processing is not through the hippocampus. It's just a conduit to allow things like memory to happen.
That's right. Yeah.
So if you could replace that conduit.
Yeah. So there is, and they have these mouse demonstrations that it's possible. So that's why I was kind of just.
That's interesting. But the hippocampus is one of the parts of the brain earliest affected. One of the earliest affected.
It's one of the earlier affected areas. But one of the things I always like to, when I see patients who are developing Alzheimer's disease, memory is not the only thing affected. So it is certainly prominent early, but it's not the only thing. Even early on, you almost always see executive dysfunction. So trouble with it would be like multitasking issues. But yeah, no, it is certainly a prominent early finding.
I see.